say that we talk about Dana Lagatino that she could make a cup of coffee nervous. Carlos, we didn't really know him much before our Wealth Bowl this year, but we got to spend some time with him and we got to, hear him talk and that sort of thing. And I will tell you, you will never meet someone that is more after it. You will never meet someone that is more fired up. You will never meet someone that is more intense. You will also never meet someone that cares more about his team. And more to the point, about everyone winning and about everyone's success. He's out here from Oxnard on a Monday morning, and I don't think he's got a single associate in this room. You know what I mean? He is here because he got a phone call from a fellow tribe member, for lack of a better word, saying, I need you. And he said, when and where? And he showed up. And, we had him talk to our team at Wealth Bowl, and just the love that he pours into everyone he works with. He's a little intense, so you better be prepared for that. You better be prepared to take good notes. And let's give him our full attention. Please give a big hand to our good friend, Mr. Carlos Anaya. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Come on, give me some energy. Let's go. All right, Good morning.
Morning.
Man, great way to start off the day, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Sean awesome?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't get enough of Sean. And first of all, thank you so much for having a guest speaker here at your office. This is actually the first time here. This is your office, right? Oh, actually not me, about a couple years old, right? Wow, that long? Wow. So, fun day coming on up. June 1st is going to be my 11th year here in WFG. Wow. And raise your hand if you're younger than 25 inside this room. Okay. I got started here when I was 24 years old. Knew absolutely nothing. And I'm going to kind of get into my story and how I started and a lot of adversities, but man, what a ride. But my purpose with you today is for you to change your story, okay? Whatever that story that you have, you need to change it ASAP. Because it's a story that you keep on telling yourself every single day, even as you woke up today. Whatever it's been your past, adversity, even wins, has taught you or even led you to where you are now, but you got to change that and you got to put on a super drive to get what you need to do. Does that make sense? It's a mental change. And actually, I did bring a couple people with me. I actually have about 7 or 8 associates with me. But most importantly, it's not just associates, but I have my mom. Why don't you go ahead and stand up, Dolores? Right? Good deal. And then you got that super stud in the back right there. Carlos Sr., right?
Thank you.
And my 2 brothers, go ahead and stand up. This is a pretty big deal for me because going back into my story, raise your hand if you know my story. Okay, only a few guys. Okay. 1, never went to school for financial services. Raise your hand if you have a background in financial services. 2, man, bless your heart, right? Awesome. I went to school for something called kinesiology. Anybody ever heard of kinesiology? Sports therapy? Everybody says absolutely. Raise your hand if you ever took a microbiology class. Oh, man, that's special. I took 2 days of that class. And then I was just like, it's not for me, right? So I wrestled all my life since I was about 8 years old. So I got to college. And I wrestled for a small college called Moorpark College and changed my life. I wrestled for a gentleman named Paul Keesall. Paul Keesall was a 2-time NCAA national champion who beat a guy named Randy Couture in the 1991 national championship. So you think that was a pretty intense room? It was like a D1 room. Does that make sense? Like it was pretty intense. And so I was going to school there, going for kinesiology. That ended up going, to that route because I had to take a what? Microbiology class. That's right. So I'm wrestling. I'm doing 2-day practices. Right? I'm in it. And I was like, well, what else am I going to do? So I went back to my counselor and I said, well, I love to help people. Do you have anything else? She's like, why don't you become a nurse? And all that. Right? And there's nothing wrong with being a nurse, right? Nothing. But when you're raised by 4 boys and a dad, it's just like, man, I'm going to tell my dad you're going to be a nurse, right? It's kind of a son and father thing, right? So I went, and guess what I did? Went through the prerequisites, but guess what I ran back into? Microbiology and chemistry all over again. So pretty much just like, what the heck am I going to do? And raise your hand if you've ever been at that point. You have no clue what direction. Left, right, straight, backwards, you don't know. And so an amazing thing happened. My father called me up, said, hey son, I need help with the family business. So I leave school and I go work as a mechanic. Right? My father is a business owner, owned his mechanic shop, still now 27 years now. And so I have a great mentor as far as watching my father, coach me all through my life. My dad was my football coach at 8, put me in wrestling like around 7, but he was my only coach since I got to high school. Big deal? Yeah. Huge deal, right? But what did I learn? Time. 3 o'clock, he went to coach the boys. And he's also been the coach for my brothers and so forth. So I'm working for him, and anybody mechanic here? Anybody? Raise your hand. All right. So we're doing mechanic work, we're doing welding work, and I got very in tune that I didn't want to be a mechanic. Nothing wrong, but hey, my dad's a smart dude. He's mechanically inclined, and I just had to struggle a little bit more. Does that make sense? When I'm walking home, but I got burnt marks from welding a catalytic converter up, and all of a sudden it's burning through my stuff. That wasn't too fun. And I'm just like, man, I'm doing this for a living? Like, man, this guy's, he's my hero, right? So I remember going up to him, I said, Papa, I want to make more money. He says, well, son, you're not going to make more money than me. Because who's the boss? He's the boss. So I said, all right. So we shook hands, and I said, well, I got to go find my own way. And what a privilege. And I go back and look at my dad. My dad says, absolutely, and good luck to you. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't nothing. It was, go find your way. So I started working at a club called Gold's Gym. Anyone heard of Gold's Gym? And I was picking up weights off the floor. That was like my first day, shuffling this weight. So when people go to the gym, they'll re-rack kind of get to my nerves. Does that make sense, right? Like really? Right? Oh man, just re-rack your weights, because I was that guy having to pick up after. Raise your hand if you ever did a job you had to pick up after somebody else. And now it's kind of like a pet peeve of yours. Does that make sense? Right? So I got into something called sales like 3 months later. Now, before that, I had no experience in sales, right? I went basically from high school to a little bit of wrestling and failed in college, okay? That was like my history right there. But what my dad did teach me was when I was about 14 years old, he sent me down something called Oxnard Boulevard, where I live in Oxnard, and there's nothing but car dealerships, okay, lined up. And he says, son, I want you to go open up catalytic converter accounts. Because every time you buy a used car, right, they have to smog it and put a catalytic and get it done. So I came back with like 15 accounts, and I didn't know how to tie a tie. I had a clip-on tie, and I just walked into people's accounts and say, hey, my father owns a shop, I'm the son, who's doing all your stuff, and whatever they were doing, I just knew I had to beat it. So I came back with like 15 accounts, we're gonna pick up and deliver within an hour, and we'll do it for like 40% cheaper. But Dad's like, what are you doing? He says, you didn't give me a parameter how much to charge, you still go get the job done. And I got the job done. So he had a business partner, he wasn't too happy with that, but it wasn't wrong. The fact of the matter is, I was being what? Coachable. Does that make sense? Right? So I said, well, if I could go open up accounts at 14 doing catalytic converters, maybe I could do gym sales, right? And within about 3 years, I was a manager. Now about 23 years old. Just turned 23, and I was able to buy my first house when I was at 23 years old. And it was mostly just to everybody telling me what to go do. Does that make sense? I didn't have a clue. I was just working 9 to 9. Oh, and before that, again, raise your hand if you guys come from financial services. 2. Not only did I work at a gym, anybody ever did any professional fishing? Like commercial fishing? So I got introduced to being a professional squid fisherman for about 2 years. So I was about 22 years old, and a gentleman that worked at the gym says, hey, we need help. And would you like to come out and help us on our fishing trip? And the way he put it, he wasn't really too specific. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking like, I've been on a fishing boat, but not a 57-foot commercial fishing boat that holds about 90 tons of squid. And I'm like, well, what do I got to do? He's all, just stack net. And I said, that's it. That's all you got to do is stack net. So I said, I can stack net, right? And so it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Covered in goo. Does that make sense? Fish. And I mean, I'm such a rookie. I walk in, have a sweater underneath, like, dude, you're gonna freeze. Because squid fishing is at night. So we docked out of Ventura Harbor, and now I'm in the middle of the ocean. We're like Catalina, 27 miles out. And we catch about 94,000 tons of squid. Is that a lot? Yeah. And then he cut me a check for about $2,000. Does that make sense? Right? So, and the reason why I'm telling you all this is because everything has led you to even to the seat today. Does that make sense? Yeah. Everything has led you to this purpose, to this vision, to your story, really. And what helped me, and I tell people I was naive enough to think I could, right? And I was a little competitive. So I never asked, well, how much I was going to pay. He says, do you want to participate? I need help. I said, yes, right? And so I was just doing as I told. Seriously, that's probably one of the best things. I was just yes, 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 no questions. Some of you guys ask too many questions and don't go. Does that make sense? Right? Some of you guys are too scared of failing. I was more just excited for the experience. Would you say that's a different mindset? Yes. It's a huge mindset difference. I didn't know it at the time. I'm just doing what I've been doing since I was 7, 8 years old. Does that make sense? But man, did I have a good mentor growing up? Yeah, absolutely. So, when I bought my house, my next door neighbor was a branch office manager for a company called City National Bank. You ever heard of City National Bank, right? So, 2 years there, right? And I'm just doing what I'm supposed to told. Because would you agree that most people just take life day to day? Yeah. Right? Unlike Maniomi, he has everything planned out, right? I didn't have a plan. I was just working hard. Ever heard that people? Hey, how's life? Just working hard. Yeah, but working hard to what? Like, what are you working hard to build? Do you have an end game? I mean, what does it look like? You couldn't ask me what it looked like. I just knew that it seemed like I was doing what everybody else was doing. And that could be a false sense of security. Does that make sense? Or success, too. Because if it's good, it could be 10 times better. If it's good, it could be 10 times better. But if you don't have someone telling you that it could be 10 times better, you think this is as good as it gets. And what are you doing? You're cutting yourself short. Does that make sense? Right? So she comes out, and I truly believe this. There's mentors everywhere. He's going to be open and be looking. Okay. Keep your eyes open. Ears open. Does that make sense? You know, Coleman is a mentor. You know, and it's so funny, and you guys keep me on track because I go screw sometimes. You know what I'm saying about? So, and one time, something real quick, that the first time that we actually got to hang out was in Hawaii. Remember that? Because some person decided that I should launch AppVantage when I first got into WFG. You guys ever heard of AppVantage? Which is now iGo, right? I launched it. And I was the first person to write it, and I wrote the most AppVantage apps, so Western Reserve Life took me to Hawaii. Is that kind of cool? Yep. Like, I wasn't even like an SMB yet. Yeah. Never even seen it. Hope it looks good. Does that make sense, right? I was like, awesome. But we got to what? Bond. Does that make sense? And I got to know Coleman, and since then, dude, Coleman will be sitting down, and I'll come and I'll give him a hug and I'll give him a kiss. And I'll give him a kiss. He's like, who the heck's kissing me right now? And he looks up, all right, oh, it's a night. I'm like, what's up, dude? What's going on, right? Big time relationships. Does that make sense? That's why anytime he asks me of anything, I will 100% beware. Not just because it's like, oh, I get to go speak at an office. No, because he's my friend. I sincerely care about him and his family. Does that make sense? Right? And I know if I ever need him, even besides outside WFG, he'll be right there for me as well. Right? So going back to my story, right? Going back to, my next door neighbor saying, hey, we have an opening at City National Bank. There's an officer position. Mine now. I did squid fishing. I've been a commercial fisherman. Gosh, I've been working at bonds. I was a waiter. I mean, everything I've done it except for what? Finance. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I can barely handle my oath. I'm a 23-year-old kid that has, at that point in time, without making, I would not even say decent money, I just always had some money in my pocket. Does that make sense? And with 23-year-old with some money in your pocket, you could be pretty what? Dangerous. Does that make sense? Right? Like, Vegas was like, where are we going? We're going to Vegas. When? Right now. How? Because my buddy's a pilot. And when you have a buddy that's a pilot that you wrestled with all your life, you just call him up and you just pay for gas. And all of a sudden I found out that gas wasn't that expensive. Does that make sense? Right? So possibilities. Does that make sense? Right? And I'm like, I told her, I was like, you know what? I need to be a security guard. And she's like, Carlos, you're so stupid. It's a manager's position. And I literally thought when she said officer, I thought she wanted to be a security guard at the bank. Because remember, terminology and corporations and finance was what? Not talked about. Right? We talk about cars, right? We talk about engines, we talk about stuff. We talk about fishing. Talk about finance. Didn't know what a 401k was. Didn't know what an IRA was. Right? I had a checking account, and I just knew that it was really bad when you went negative. Does that make sense? Right? So I tried not to let that happen, right? And when I got paid, and I knew there was another paycheck coming when? 2 weeks later. Does that make sense? So I was just like, just enough money, just for 2 more weeks. Direct deposit, come on in. And do people live their life that way? Yes. And it's called living life what? Check?
Right, check.
To check. And they think it's normal. Like, they think this is like, what do you mean? Like, remember, not this check, next paycheck. And so she was a mentor without even knowing it. I promise you this. In the last even 2 weeks, you guys have carried some great mentors. Does that make sense? And she changed my life. I interviewed for 5 months. And the regional vice president hired me at City National Bank. And I walked in as an officer to the Westlake Village branch. Anybody heard of someone called Vince Scully? Yeah, he was one of my clients. I was scared. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's Vince. Does that make sense? Right? Because would you say Westlake's a little bit different from Oxnard? Oh, just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But guess what I got to learn? I got to learn the whole banking industry. I got to learn exactly what we do with your money. I got to understand the difference between the top 2-5% of the population and everybody else, because City National Bank is not a retail bank, it's a private bank. Does that make sense? I got to learn that my parents and the people I love were not the clientele they were looking for. So I started to ask questions, because I'm that guy that asks questions. Wait, I'm the guy that says, let's go have a great time. I'm also the guy that says, why? And I'm also the guy that says, when it's time to get done, you want me in your corner. Does that make sense? Right? You want me in your foxhole. Because I care that much. And when they said that my father was not one of my clients, that really what? Oh, to the max. I said, how can I be building this corporation when I can't even help my own family? And it wasn't that. My weekends off, my paid vacations, being an officer, get all that stuff, didn't what? It didn't matter. And then a person walked inside my branch that changed my life. So the time that I walked into a WFG branch, 6 months later, I fired my boss. And guess what? I was not a senior marketing director. I was not even making $5,000 a month. I didn't even know what an IUL was. I just knew that it was tax-free because they told me to. They said, go do this. And I was like, why? They're like, because it's awesome. And I was like, well, I guess this is awesome. I made my first $100,000 on life insurance because I failed my security test 5 times. I was so weak-minded that 3 months when I first got inside WFG, there was a convention, right? It was at the Paris Hotel, right? Top Gun. And my mentor, right, my SMD was like, if you don't go, I can't work with you. And I was like, I can't do work. He says, well, that's not my problem. It's something you need to figure out ASAP. Nothing personal, Carlos, but if you don't go, I'm not working with you. So it's just business, because everybody else is going to be what? 10 times further than you. And I can't slow down for it. So guess what I did? I made it happen. I showed up, changed my life. And I remember rooming in a room with like 8 people, 8 guys. Every room in a room with 8 guys is full of stinks. Flat out stinks. Broke. But man, I was so fired up because he sold me a what? And a vision. right? I saw everybody else like, oh, where you guys going? I'm going to my suite. I was like, dude, I got a quarter. Like, does that make sense? Of a room, right? Or walking in, and then it was like, that was first convention, being broke. I mean, I remember like just having all my meals laid out, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Does that make sense? Right? Chips, one of those high C packs things, whatever. Like, you name it, everything, just because there's no way I could get 3 days without going to a real restaurant. That would have wasted all my money. But my vision, my dream was, man, one day I'm going to walk into a convention and I don't have to worry about that stuff. I didn't know when. Does that make sense? I just knew that was my, at that point in time, that was my dream, not living check to check. How about going to a restaurant and now be like, let me check my account before I go in. Basing your whole entire life on how much money you have in your checking account and more of fear instead of abundance. How about that? People live that way. It's all over the face. Hey, you want to go? Hey, you know what? We're going over here. We're going to go? No, it's cool. I got things to do. No, you're just broke. And it's more of a pride thing. Does that make sense? You don't want anybody to know. I remember having $20 in my pocket. Why do I tell you this story? Because somehow, some way, somewhere inside this room, people are going through some adversities, yes? People are going through stuff. Everybody's going through stuff. Someone's stuff is not better than someone else's stuff, but it's still stuff. I bet you this, though. I bet you if we got all our adversities, right? And we all pass them up right here, and then we redistribute them to everybody else, you might pull one up and be like, man, they guess I don't got that problem. So at the same time, we still got to be what? Blessed, right? And grateful, right? And, grateful to be here even this morning, as Sean was saying. This company has not only transformed my life. Look, WFG is not, it's a lifestyle. I'll be 37 this year. I've been able to do some pretty phenomenal things. Not only just, one, be a business owner. How about that, right? I have my own branch in Oxnard. Beautiful office, about 3,000 square feet. We spread brand new carpet in the other day, right? I designed that office with my business partner. Designed it. I mean, I can tell exactly the square footage, to everything, to the hallways, to the fixtures, to the coating of the fire. I mean, everything because I became a business owner. Negotiating, I mean, everything, the leases, you name it, right? Been able to take my grandma on a trip to Cancun. Took my whole family to, Cabo several times, right? Travel. I even got a trip lined up for this year. Haven't told you about that yet, but we're going to be talking about it.
We went to Pittsburgh too.
I'm a big kid. I like to have fun. So I play, I work hard, and I what?
Yeah.
But yeah, we still got to be lean too. Does that make sense? Right? Like, I got my stuff in order. I got my office. I bought a house in Ventura, right? Me, my little guy, I own it. I wear it. It's not a pet bull. It's 3.6 pounds and doesn't make a mess. All right? All right? We're good. Right? But you got to live below your means. Does that make sense? Invest more into your business. I make sure that my business is always going forward. Nothing is more important than my business, because my business provides for what? Everything else. Once you make that a 100%, no going back, there's no plan B, that's when your business starts to take off, and that's when you take full ownership. I promise you that. I promise you. Let me get into things before I forget here. You guys got to be what we call hierarchy blind, and let me explain what I mean by that. Being hierarchy blind is helping everybody. Look at, regardless of what office you're from, what country you're from, how long you've been in the business, a couple months, a couple years, a couple days, we're all here to win together, yes? And when I mean that we're one big WFT family, it's really true, because you affect me, indirectly or directly, on how you basically promote yourself and promote your business. I love to say that I got partners up here. Does that make sense? I love to say that, I have great associations within this company because of how you guys uphold your own personal self. Being hierarchy blind, which means you're able to have an open door policy. I have an open door policy. regardless of who you are or where you're coming from, even at big events, I give my number out, please call me, how can I help you? Why? Because so many people cross my way since I've been growing up, and I'm still growing up. You know, I'm a baby inside this business. You guys don't understand that? Like, I'm a baby. Like, I just figured it out. I'm like, oh, okay, now jet stream next 10 years. Does that make sense? Right? So thankful for the people that have came across my life, donated their time, without even any financial, gains, but they wanted me to what? Win. I mean, I have great relationships with Ed, with Jeff, with, John Shin. I mean, you name it. Jimmy Villalobos, right? Me and Sean. I mean, how about this? How about your dream? Anybody like rock and roll? Anybody like rock and roll? Right? So one of my favorite bands is Metallica. Okay? And I have always dreamed of going to a Metallica concert. Well, just so happens that, REVC is good friends with who? Robert Trujillo, which is the bass player for who? So I had to get a WFG to go meet Robert Trujillo. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, right. So not only was I able to, I rented a full bus, right? Took about 10 of our guys, right? Sean was there. I took my Uncle David, he's a senior deputy. He's the big time. I took my little brother, right? My little brother was what, 18 at the time?
Yeah.
18 going to Metallica. What? Like what? Right? And so it's amazing because Robert left VIP passes for us. So I already bought my regular ticket, and then there was VIP passes at World Call. And those VIP passes get you access to an entire concert. Front stage, like, here's the band, and I'm like right here, just like, like, no shame whatsoever, no shame. You guys were recording like, is that a Naya? Then dude, that's a Naya right there. Seriously. No shame. And then I got to go hang out with the band after. Now, how awesome is it to go hang out with Metallica? Some people say, I went to the concert. Like, did you hang out with the band after? Like, I met his wife, I met his kids. Picture, like, they want to be that guy, but I was that guy. Was that guy, didn't care. Why? It's my dream. See this BBC posted, right? I got a full portrait of me and Robert Trujillo in my house.
He does.
That sounds me the what?
Dream.
That was a huge dream. Why? WFG. And guess how much those passes were worth? They're like $8,000 each. And he left us like 5 of them. I was just like, shut up, right? Like, I'm excited, right? And so those little things just kind of blow my mind. But how awesome is it to do that stuff? How awesome is it to be like at any given point, yes, let's go take care of that. Priceless. What WFG has taught me is not only how to, be a better person, I'll tell you that. WFG has, made me grow up a lot in a very short period of time. Because if you want to be a leader, then you better be good enough to lead yourself. Does that make sense? Last month, I cut about 14 pounds last month. I threw a Biggest Losing contest, and the pot was like $1,000. And I didn't win. So I'm pissed off, right? But somebody else won. They cut like 23 pounds, I want to say. But I got down to about 186 pounds. And there's no way I can maintain 186 pounds. In college, I wrestled down 140 pounds, right? And that's something that you kind of grow and sort of build different muscles. Does that make sense? In life, in real life, you kind of grow different muscles. We call this a real man weight. Does that make sense? Right? Raise your hand if you know what a real man weight is. Okay. All right. You guys should be like, it's not privy to that no more, right? So, I made some big decisions here. Big decisions. Look at what's coming on up. We have convention coming up, yes, which I'm going to talk about. Huge, right? Most importantly, not only for your personal recognition, but for your team's recognition, right? How many people are you going to be getting there? But then you have a lot more goals as far as even the wealth goal coming on up, right? Okay? So every single month you're pushing for something, right? So I made a big, huge decision for myself that I'm going to crush the next 6 months. Like completely just change everything that I've been doing the last even 5 years of my life, right? So diet, I hired a nutritionist, right? So I'm on my nutrition every single day, working out every single day, right? In the office. I have been so blessed. Jackie, what you said that real quick, right? Jackie's one of our associates, but she's actually my assistant. I'm not a married man, but I think you should have like assistant wife almost. Does that make sense, right? She runs my life. She's awesome. If you want to run your business and grow it, get yourself an assistant. Does that make sense? Get someone that will help you build, right? I mean, she is phenomenal. I mean, really, I gotta put you on stage because she runs so many things. I'm that guy who says, just tell me where to show up and go, and she's like the organizer. Does that make sense? So she's picking up all my pieces as I go. How big is that in business? It's huge. It's huge because if you want to get what? Bigger, absolutely. So I don't care what level you're at right now. If you can't afford a full-time assistant, get a part-time assistant. If you don't have a desk, find a desk. Contribute to your office somehow, some way. Hey, you guys have a copier? Bring paper. Hey, can I know everybody has plugins and all that stuff, rules, but somehow, some way, contribute to your office. Make it your own, right? Get some real estate. I mean, have some just skin in the game. I promise you, it will change your whole entire mindset and the way you look at your business. I was an associate, right? Everybody knows the Gore Hills office, yes? Okay, I grew up in the Gore Hills office, right? My S&D says, hey, spot just opened up. I was like, for what? He's all, a desk. And I'm like, dude, I'm an associate. I'm like, maybe 5,000 points apart already at that point in time. Maybe 5. You think office rent was in my go-to? Negative, right? Was not. He says, dude, this will change your target business, and I don't know when the next step for them coming up. So, dude, if you want to win, why don't you stop being a pansy and just get on and make it happen? You can make it happen, right? This is like such a cool job. Right? I knew what he was doing, right? But my pride and my competitiveness was like, yes, I'll make it happen. No clue how the heck I was going to make it happen. But I did. So I got the desk. And then there was a call. So you guys got to be fighting for everything. See, Jamie Villalobos launched this call. It was kind of like the last man standing call, right? And who was on that call? Raise your hand if you know these people. Brian Batten. Mauricio Bosa, right? Studs, yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, they weren't SMBs. We weren't SMBs yet. Right? They've been in business a bit longer. I came on in, right? That call, because we're competitive, right? Mauricio hit SMB, right? He took the call. I think the call was like $5,000. Took $5,000, right? But guess what that lined me up to? Because I took a little bit of ownership. See, if I never would have did one thing, and that would have led me to the next thing. Yes? So just because I took a little invested in my office, into my business, it pushed me to even believe to think that I could compete with these guys, because they're animals, right? I was just like, man, Mauricio is not only like 7 feet tall and that brick wide, right? But he's a monster at just the business. And so when I came on in, I was chasing like Mauricio and Brian. And then I was like, I get to be on a call with him, and then mentored by who? Jamie Villalobos. So I took second to that call. Mauricio hit SMD, and then 2 months later, I hit SMD. And then Brian Batter hit SMD. For one phone call. Blows my mind. I just thought about that. It was just like amazing. But imagine if I would have skipped out on that first challenge. See, there's a story and there's a lesson to be told in every challenge that you get. Everything's competition, by the way. And by the way, when you actually decline, it's a test. Oh no, I'm not ready right now. I got too much on my plate. I got distractions, but you don't really know what's going on within my family, my business. Right now is not a good time. Raise your hand if you ever heard that. And raise your hand if you ever told yourself that too. Be honest, I have. So, when's a good time? It's never a good time. Stuff, by the way, stuff will always come up, yes? You will always have challenges, yes? So at what point do you just do it? And then you just actually start to take things as they come, but instead of being mountains, you say, you know what, that's a little pebble, no big deal. Right? That's a little thing, no big deal. Carlos, man, I do not function well under pressure. And now you're like, bring it. Does that make sense? Bring the pressure. I'm a pressure guy. I do very well under pressure. I have learned just to file things. Anybody file things? Right? Right? Like literally, house is burning down. I'd be like, well, I mean, someone's going to put it out. If not, I'll get back to it later. Does that make sense? Right? No, don't get me wrong. I mean, you get some casualties here and there. I mean, but you're still working through it, right? Right? No one's perfect. No one's perfect. But you can't be just all of a sudden focused on one thing, and then that's negative, and then all of a sudden you put all the great stuff to the side. And how many people do that? You know, there was a tragedy, and I say this, a tragedy that happened back in 2010. My dad's father passed away unexpectedly, had a stroke. And 2 months before that conversation, me and him had a pretty intense conversation. And what I mean by intense was I was very lucky that there was a table between us. That intense. Because he didn't want to put nothing in place. And he was kind of like, insurance is a scam, you know, what you're doing is ripping off people. And I mean, he just started just to dig in, right? And so being a little younger, a little more tempered, this is more civilized, Carlos. Does that make sense? We're more civilized now. But when I was younger, like, I wanted to rip into you. Does that make sense? Right? Because I believed in it so much, right? And so I was like, how dare you, like, even talk mess about what I'm doing, right? Most importantly, not protect your family, and most importantly, not protect my father. These are business partners here, right? So what happened, he passed away. 2 months after that conversation, his family lost everything. Had $1 million home, lost that. Had a home that he had for years, lost that. And by the way, all his, he had 2 girls that were branch managers of Wells Fargo, by the way, okay? No life insurance, no nothing. He had a 64 convertible half Mustang, right? Pony interior. They sold it to pay for things, right? And it left our family in a very bad situation, right? One, it was unexpected, and then before he passed away, he took a big, large amount out of the business account to do some stuff on his house and never put it back. So what did that do for the Anaya family? Very bad, absolutely. And so, thank goodness for WFG. WFG has kept our family afloat, and WFG has brought us to new visions and new standards. Does that make sense? You know, and now we work as a team. Our family works as a team. And what I mean by that is, and hey, and he's right in the back, he'll tell you, first 3 years of actually Wealth Bowls and conventions, hey Pop, I got a ticket for you. Hey Pop, I got a ticket for you, come on in. Son, I gotta what? Work. I gotta work. Hey, I got a ticket for you, I gotta what? Work. And now look at now. I got this guy coming to full-timers meetings in Burbank. That makes sense? That's awesome, right? Just saying. Because guess what I did? I stayed the course. I've been consistent, right? I take my family on trips. Pop, how big was it when we went to Pittsburgh?
Oh, we left on Thursday morning. We staggered back Tuesday morning. We had a blast.
All right, you leave that part out.
But we had a great father-son
Well,
thing.
get hold of your husband real quick.
We went to the Carnegie Museum.
So my
Great.
father's a big-time Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and one of his dreams was to go to Heinz Field, right, Three River Stadium, and watch a game. And so me and him, it was my birthday. My birthday's in November 6th. So we left on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, came back Monday, just me and him. How? WFG. WFG has been the source of everything to our whole entire family. My 2 younger brothers, my brother in the back, 19, is a licensed agent. So, and he's 19 years old, been doing WFG for the last year. By osmosis, he's going to be successful. Does that make sense? Right? Don't get discouraged. You can't get discouraged. All this is part of your story. At one point, you're going to have to just know that you have all the answers in yourself already. And stop looking for validation elsewhere. Too many people look for validation. Should I? Could I? Maybe? What do you think? Just pull the trigger. Because you'll get to figure out what you're made of. If you're scared of going full time, guess what you got to do? You got to go full time. You just have to change everything that you've been doing for the last 6 months. Just even go back that far. Change everything. Because the last 6 months has even made you or brought you to the person you are today. So you got to tweak it. If you want different results, you got to be a different person. When I made some of my big decisions, right? And matter of fact, I have. Did you get that email? Okay, cool. It all starts with you. And that's probably one of the hardest things, seriously, is looking at you and knowing that, one, you gotta change some stuff. Period. I tell my clients, tell my agents, like, everything you have been doing, you gotta own it. Look at, if you're not getting, you have to be almost cash flow driven. At the end of the day, you guys are here to become wealthy. Does that make sense? You don't come to WFG to pay your bills. You come to WFG to live that lifestyle. Period. For whatever lifestyle that you want, for your kids, for your wives, for your if you want to donate, it's yes, all of it. But it's yours. Does that make sense? You got to start changing a little bit about you. For me, I'm competitive, so I remember all my life is competing. So how do I get myself into the best competitive mode I can? I gotta work on my body. I gotta work on what I'm eating. I gotta work on my stuff, right? Because then all of a sudden it works on what? This. And it puts me into gear to be the best Carlos Naya that I can be. And that's what I'm chasing for. Everybody's different, right? But whatever that is, you just need to start doing it. And don't ask for permission. Matter of fact, don't even tell anybody. Just go do it. Right? It's funny. I'm a very introverted, shy person naturally. Promise you. Promise you. I'll give you a prime example. About 2 months ago, what's her name? Ishikawa? Shauna. She was on stage. And she was bringing people up, right? Just for her training as demos and all that stuff. And I'm right here. You guys know Abel Vasquez? You guys know Nicole Wentz? Mm-hmm. So I'm in the middle. And I'm engaged. I'm taking notes. I'm in it. And she says, Carlos, come up. And I say, no. Shut her down. And then Nicole hits me. She's like, what's your problem? I'm like, I have no idea what she wants. Man, I'm not going on that stage. Subconsciously, I just what? I still fight it every single day, right? So it's not a natural act. I have to work on it. I'm actually very exhausted. Does that make sense? Mentally, after speaking or after I have to keep the energy up, because some people just naturally wake up and they're just like a million miles an hour. Does that make sense? Okay. I got like an off switch. Does that make sense? So like when I'm off, I like to be by myself. Like 36, I've lived on my own for many years. Why? Because I don't have roommates. I don't do the roommate deal. I like my own time. When I leave, I don't even tell people. I'm like, oh, well, Jackie, I'm going here. And Jackie books all my stuff. And where are you going? I'm leaving. I'm getting out. I like to go spend my alone time. Does that make sense? So naturally, that's my comfortable spot. But in order to grow, you have to get what? Uncomfortable, right? So one of the main things that the person that told me that was someone called Ed Milet. You guys ever heard Ed Milet? Okay, would you say he's a pretty intense dude? Yeah. And if you ain't growing, you're what? You're not. And for him, it's always max out, max out, max out, max out. And so I was very privileged to be invited to his home in Coeur d'Alene, Iowa. That was a dream trip. And I got to have just some amazing time with Ed Milet. I got to not only see his house, he gave us there for a couple days, and I have some pictures that I'd like to show you guys. And what is so specific, as much as even Sean Villalobos was talking about, is that everything that his house was built on was very specific to exact detail on where it was. Everything was. Everything. To the T. Ridiculous on the clarity. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I took back, is that how clear are you on where you're going? Remember, you can work hard, but you can work hard and go nowhere. So where are you going? What does it look like, right? I put some pretty definitive goals in for the next 6 months. Like, I'm a very action-oriented type of dude, right? Like, I'm not that guy that says, give me all the information, right? I'm not the data person. I'm that says, Carlos, here it is, and I'll figure it out as I go. I'll give you a prime example. I I just got fully licensed, okay? Just got fully licensed. I never wrote up a variable annuity in my whole entire life, ever. But yeah, I had a client that had like $700,000 in rollover. So was I excited? Yeah. Oh man, I was just like, this is SMD, right here, right? This is SMD status. When you're SMD, you get 700,000 rollovers, right? Oh man. So my mentor says, Carlos, do you want me to go with you? It's your first one. You need field training. You're gonna take the split. But I think you should probably need more training. Not me. What'd I say? I got this. I got this. Don't worry about it. I got it. I got it. So I'm so focused on how awesome it is that I left to very few details if I've got all the proper documentation for you. Does that make sense? So here I am, and this is such a big lesson because I never did this again. By the way, somebody, Rayman, what's 6% on 700,000? $42,000 lesson. Okay, so you don't throw those away too often. Okay, lesson. And if it doesn't hurt you in your pocket, you probably don't learn it. Does that make sense? So I have the lady all excited, and I bring the wrong paperwork. Halfway through the presentation or through the paperwork, remember it's already closed. I'm writing out a life insurance DUL forms. And she's like, I'm 68 years old. Why the heck am I getting life insurance for this? And I was just like, ugh. So you know, like, it's like 70 degrees and shoots up to about 120. Instant sweat. Does that make sense? And then all of a sudden, she was like, you know what? Let me think about this. So I go back with my tail between my legs. And you think my SME is pretty upset? Yeah. Never, ever, ever again did I think that way. Even as a senior marketing director, I still go back and look up. Does that make sense? You are always learning. You are always practicing. You are always half full. You don't ever drop it. How is that so amazing? And Marlette says, I don't even got it. I'm still learning to be the best version of what? Him. Does that make sense?